Alright, I'm studying for my lighter than air written pilot exam, and today I am going to review Class E, airspace. For E, I think everywhere else. And then in parentheses, that is controlled. If it's controlled airspace and it's not an airport, it's probably Class E. So what do we know about Class E? When we look at the VFR for Class E, it's broken into two groups. So if I have a map in my head, I know that the maximum height of Class E is going to be 18,000 MSL, because that's where Class A starts. The minimum of Class E airspace, I believe, is going to be 1,200 MSL. The middle, I'm sorry, not MSL, AGL, above ground level. The middle point here of 10,000 is where the rules change for Class E. So there's two sets of rules for VFR. VFR, again, stands for Visual Field of Reference, and it's the rules that hot air balloons follow when we would be in a controlled Class E everywhere else airspace. If we are below 10,000 feet MSL, mean sea level, if we are below that, this space is not going to be a fixed amount, whereas the top part is strictly 8,000 feet. Always. This upper part is always going to be 8,000 feet. The lower part varies based on the altitude of the area that you're in. Currently, we are sitting at an altitude of 5,500 feet. We're at a lake in New Mexico, so it's pretty high elevation. If we were to be outside of Atlanta, we would only be at an elevation of 1,050 feet ground level. So this is a lake in New Mexico, and over here this is Atlanta. Ground level varies based on where you are. However, the distinction of Class E remains the same. So where we are at the lake right now, we only have about 4,500 feet in the lower level. But if we were to be in Atlanta, we would have 8,950 feet in the lower level, below 10,000 feet. So it varies based on the altitude that you're in. You have to know different altitudes. So if we look at what the VFR rules are, the visual flight rules, for less than 10,000 feet, for less than 10,000 feet MSL, independent of AGL, you are going to use the same rules that we used in Class C. It's the same. 3 statute miles visibility, 1,000 feet above a cloud, 500 feet below a cloud, and 2,000 feet vertically. How does this change, though, if we're above it in this space right here? This over space. This is what we're going to draw. It's a lot of information here. Does it change? Yes, it changes. It's no longer the same as Class C. When you reach that 10,000 foot elevation, which really, if we were in a balloon, we would only have to go up 4,000 feet from the location I'm at right now, 4,500. The VFR up here states that we need to have 5 miles of visibility. And if you read here, it says statute miles. That just means literal, straight up miles. Exactly 5,280 feet. Not only do we need 5 miles of visibility, so more visibility, we also need more distance below the cloud and horizontally. So if we have our cloud, 1,000 feet above is still the same. That did not change. However, below, we now need 1,000 feet. And we now need 1 mile, which is double the distance, a little bit more, almost triple the distance of down here. And I wonder if we look at the clouds, do the clouds help us understand this? So we know that Class E is controlled. And so it's going to start about right here. Okay, so you can have cumulonimbus in the lower section. You only have to have 2,000 feet horizontal from those. Right here at 10,000 feet, between 3 and 4 kilometers, is when some of your other clouds start. Cirrus, altostratus, cirrostratus, and these clouds are the ones that you would need to keep a full mile away from. Down here, you only have to keep 2,000 feet horizontally. Up here, 1 mile. So when I look at this map, I know that this line essentially represents Class A airspace here. I now have a secondary line that I've added to separate Class E above from Class E below in controlled airspaces. Remember, controlled means there's an ATC tower, there could be extra traffic. You want to make sure that you are following the rules so that you are not injured and your passengers are not injured. And at the end of the day, you have your happy balloon staying within VFR. Alright, Class E, we're going to use here in a different video to understand what it's like for a hot air balloon to be around Class B airspace.